next, okay? We'll see what's about to happen next, okay? We'll see what's about to happen.
Hey, welcome to the YNCN Podcast. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Selena. And today we're joined by Miss Kat Yee.
Yay! Woo, welcome.
I like how I wooed for myself.
As you should.
You know what? You are a star.
You're our number one fan.
I love it. Tell us a bit about yourself. Oh, nice intro.
Yeah, my name is Kat. I am a Civ 2T3 plus PUI. I'm currently on my PUI, which is very nice. No homework for me after 5 p.m. I like to draw. I like to sleep and try new foods and have a good time.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, what new food have you tried lately?
New food I've tried recently. This is completely not the answer to your question, but I went back to this place I've been to like 5 times this summer called Hotopia. It's like Sichuan food cuisine. It's on College. It's really, really good. It's amazing. That is not a new food. I was just thinking about it. There was something I tried recently, but I don't remember. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been to Hotopia, so I'll go there next.
You should. It's so good. I mean, it's good if you like spicy food.
Oh,
That's the thing.
I'm so bad with spice.
Their non-spicy dishes are still good, but they just don't have as much. Like most of their dishes are spicy. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll try. My tongue and my mouth might burn, but we'll attempt.
Do it.
it's so good. It's worth it.
To start us off, we're going to start from the very beginning. I wanted to ask, out of curiosity, what was your dream job as a child?
Oh my god. Okay, crazy question. I could never answer that question because I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I have a vivid memory of being in kindergarten and where you had to fill out one of those like big sheets where it's like your name and age and your like favorite color food and like what your dream job is. I remember everyone filling that out and I was like, I have no idea. I was like, artist, maybe just for fun.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I never actually really had one. I think I had the classic, I want to be a marine biologist in like when you're 13.
So good.
But it wasn't really like a dream job. It was just like, I feel like, I don't know, 50% of like 13-year-olds have that,
I agree.
that passion to be a
Marine biologist, because you like at 13 you're like, I love animals and the ocean is so cool, and you're like, guys, marine biology.
Enamored by marine biology.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
Maybe even more than 50%. I feel like so many people I talk to have had that moment in their
It
life.
was a thing also on Sweet Life on Deck. That it showed up. Sorry, that's not relevant, but I think that's where it showed up for me. That I was like, I would love to try that.
I asked because I remember when I was 10, everyone wanted to be a soccer player. I didn't play soccer, but I told everyone I wanted to be a famous soccer player. And look at me now, I don't do sports. Like,
That's so funny.
yeah, I know.
It's so interesting that everyone's dream job was soccer player. I knew a lot of people who wanted to be like astronauts and stuff like that.
I think,
Almost.
yeah, mine was always actress.
Is that still your dream job?
Well, I mean, like, it'd be the ideal way my life goes, but look at me in engineering. Look at me go.
You never know. School night, big break.
Yeah. Oh,
School night on Broadway.
school out of
No, actually, I would love that. That collab.
I'll pitch it to New York, guys. I'll literally pitch it to New York.
Yeah, let's drive down. We can.
Absolutely. I was even gonna say, like, question right for you. What is your dream job now? Like, do you know where you want to go after university?
This is so interesting. I was actually just talking to someone about this earlier. I don't know. I'm thinking about pursuing more, like, doing a post-grad afterwards, but also open to the idea of not staying in Toronto. I love Toronto, but you know when you move to a city, you know that's your place. Or I often hear people talking about that. Like, for example, my sister, when she moved to Montreal, because she went to McGill.
Oh, gotcha.
When she moved to Montreal in her undergrad, she just fell in love with Montreal. I was like, I'm going to stay in Montreal. And, like, she still has been living there since.
Yeah.
But I feel like I haven't had that moment yet. Like, I grew up in Ottawa, but I'm not, like, obsessed with Ottawa. And I don't, like, particularly want to go back right now.
Yeah.
It's a nice city, but there's not that much to do.
Yeah.
Toronto I love as well, but I'm like, is this my, like, forever place? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I would like the opportunity if it's possible to study abroad or, like, elsewhere, even, like, on the West Coast or something. So I don't know, but I'm currently working for a sustainability consulting company for my PUI.
Awesome.
Where we help our clients develop like the implementation plan and the strategies to transitioning their portfolios to net zero. So for the most part, they're like real estate like portfolio investment companies, and they're like, we're trying to transition our portfolio to net zero by 2030 or something. How do we make our buildings more sustainable and like net zero? And we'll do the full energy audit and study and analysis and give them the solutions or the opportunities that they can apply to fuel switch off of natural gas and stuff like that. So it's honestly sick. Like, I love it.
That's so cool. Sorry,
that is
my jaw was like open because I was like, that's such an awesome job.
I'm super grateful. It's such an awesome opportunity, and I really, really enjoy it. So I'm not opposed either to going back if it's possible after my PUI. But again, it's like, I don't know. There's still a lot of questions up in the air for me, so I haven't like, you know, set in stone any decision, but that's kind of where I'm at, and I feel very grateful at least to have this current job opportunity to get a good glimpse of what it would be like to work in that industry, and it's exactly kind of what I wanted to do. Anyways,
perfect.
That's awesome. I was even gonna ask, so what is the company name? And my apologies if I missed that. And like how was the process to like find that position? Like, was that through the portal? Like, how was like application wise? Like, how did that?
The company is called Purpose Building. It is a pretty new company founded in 2018, I think.
Oh, wow.
Relatively new. Yeah, but the founders have all been working together for like ages. Like,
Gotcha.
Over 10 years. Like they've worked in a similar field at a different company beforehand, but founded this one with the mission and focus of having sustainability at its forefront, and not just as like a second thought. A lot of companies, it's important, but a lot of companies are starting to think about sustainability, but a lot of the time it's still kind of like
an
afterthought. It's an afterthought. But purpose, our mission, like leads with those values of sustainability being the first kind of priority.
For sure.
Which I love, and I was very intrigued by it. So the opportunity came up. Again, I feel super lucky and like grateful for this. I approached my building science professor, Professor, Marianne Tucci.
Oh my gosh, I've heard such incredible things about
she's
this
amazing. She was my building science, my Civ 375 professor, and I remember like 2 weeks in, it was like just mid-September, barely started the semester yet. I was like, I love this class because she's just an amazing professor. Also, I just found building science super interesting. It's building science, like I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is building science? But it's about the design of building envelopes. So like walls. How do you best design walls with like the proper insulation materials, windows, to optimize its thermal performance, so you don't like have leaky walls where like all the heat that you're generating is gonna like leak out, and that is ultimately like not energy efficient. For sure. So I was like, well, this is so cool. So I asked her once after class, just saying like, I love this class and I'm looking for PUI jobs. Do you know of any opportunities within the realm of building science or related to it? Because prior to that, I was leaning more towards structural, but then after taking building science, I was like, I still like structural, no offense to structural, but I love building science like way more than structural.
You're like, to structural listening, I still love you.
Yeah, exactly. So she was super sweet and said, oh, like people contact me all the time because she has her connections being a professor. And she said, just send me an email and I'll like forward you some different links and stuff. Awesome. So I reached out to her, and then she fully just sent me this Purpose job posting because she worked with some of the founders of Purpose, so she has connections and knows them. And said like they're looking for a student because they take on co-op students, and was saying like, oh, let them know I sent you. So I reached out and then went through the interviewing process there, and it was the first job I applied to. Also the only job I applied to.
Hey, when it fits, it fits.
Because they responded and got back to me like really quickly, and then the whole interviewing process like went past like there were 2 interview rounds, but overall it was like a pretty quick process, and then like beginning of October I had a job.
Wow.
So I was super lucky and grateful, and like I was super happy because I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So yeah, very exciting.
Did you find that from that course you applied anything in your current job, or is your current job more like analyst like Or
It's interesting. It's actually more, I would say, the course that I took in third year and second semester, Civ 380, it's Sustainable Energy Systems. There's actually a lot more application from that course to my job than building science itself. We work with, sometimes depending on the project, we work with consultants like Synergy who actually specialize in building science. So they will do like the detailed envelope design.
okay.
So like we don't do as much of like the specific like designing of walls. We might come up with the like depending on the project, if we're trying to propose opportunities for a building to switch to net zero, we might say like you should retrofit your windows from double pane to triple pane because they're more like energy efficient. But we don't actually do like we do some analyses.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is understanding how like HVAC systems work. So it's actually
That's
quite
wild.
There's
That's
a
my capstone.
There's a lot of mech components, and a lot of people that work there have mechanical engineering backgrounds.
Me being like,
Yeah, it's super interesting. So understanding sustainable energy, like different sources of fuel and renewable energy and stuff, I think that knowledge that I learned from Civ 380, I've been able to apply more to this job. But there definitely is influence from the building science course as well. But honestly, I feel like I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about HVAC systems. I'm like, oh my God, am I mech?
Yes.
that's wild.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
exactly what my capstone is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, totally an option.
I mean, I'm taking notes.
I would say there's, if not more, people that work there with mechanical engineering backgrounds than Civ.
That's so cool.
It's interesting. There are a lot of people that work there with different backgrounds, and there's even some of my colleagues have backgrounds in like social science and stuff too, to kind
wow.
of bring in different perspectives
like
on
behavioral things as well.
I don't know exactly what their majors are.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's interesting because we'll have discussions and we're able to have perspectives, about topics surrounding like equity and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
Not
for
beyond just the like technicalities of like efficient numbers and efficiency,
Yeah.
and also like thinking about our work, like our clients and who we want to work with and how we want to do it ethically as
For
well.
sure,
Wow.
for
So
sure.
It sounds like a really great company, like so
Yeah.
innovative, and
it's quite progressive. Like
Wow.
it's really, I really enjoy it. And even the structure in itself, it's a pretty small company, but either way, like they don't run on like a hierarchical type of scale.
That's
Like
so
we don't
important.
use
Yeah.
job titles in our emails. It's like just your signature and your credentials. Like if someone has like
Like a
got
PhD.
their PhD
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
but it's not like project manager,
I
project
really
analyst,
like that.
and you're not assigned to just what your job title said on whatever you've signed. Like I've worked on a variety of different projects, and although on my contract say it's called like sustainability analyst, I've had the opportunity to do so many different little things, and if I wanted to delve into like because there's like new development types of projects and also existing developments type of projects where the work you do is kind of different with like an existing building versus a new building. I've mostly been working in existing buildings, but if I wanted to work in new buildings, I could totally voice that, and then they would definitely take in consideration and try to like give you the opportunity to learn and grow those skills and like see. So you're not limited to just like these are what it says on your
this is
contract.
all you're gonna learn.
This
yeah.
is not what you're limited to. It's very much like an environment that encourages growth in your
Yeah,
career
that's
and
so
in your own
important.
like learning. So it's honestly like cool. I've never worked somewhere where they had that kind of culture of
Yeah.
you're all on the same board and you're not limited to just what your job title says you should
Yeah.
be doing.
Did
So.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, did the interview process kind of like show that, like the company culture and things like that? Like, how did you find that whole situation?
The interview did, I think, convey a lot of those factors already.
Gotcha.
On their website also they have their mission and like values clearly stated. So a lot of those things I think I was able to get a good grasp of the
Yeah.
culture. I knew that I liked it based
Yeah.
on reading about it. But I didn't know about the like no job title thing until I joined the team,
would
because I
say,
think that one's something more like specific to like internal structure,
for
right?
sure.
So that was a cool learning. Once I did my onboarding, I was like, oh, that's cool, because it also helps decrease the, I don't know, working with clients externally, they won't see a job title being like, oh, you're just an analyst, and then like take you less seriously. It's kind of like we're all part of the team and we all like do an important role, and it doesn't like really, of course it matters to a certain extent, but it doesn't like matter really if your like title is a project manager versus like an analyst, because you're still helping like produce the work that is there. So I think corresponding externally, it is also relieving in a sense to know that they're not going to be like, you're just like a dumb analyst. Not that people would think that, but you know, like inherently that bias exists.
There's definitely.
I remember when I talked to you, like when you were going through the application process, I remember you talking about how they asked you about concrete, and I know that was like, I was like, what? So would you be able to like dive a bit more into that?
So the first interview round was a pretty like standard interview structure. One of the questions was describe a technology or like a technology or something you know well, and pretend I'm a client and like explain it to me. I don't know much about technology when it comes to like, you know, if you're thinking like electrical systems or whatever. And I was like, I know a good amount about concrete though.
That's so funny.
Because I was concrete lead for Concrete Toboggan last year. So it was like fresh in my mind because I've been working around so many concrete related things in that time. So I was like, okay, concrete. So I just chose concrete on the spot, explained it. And then the second round, so in between I had to do this like activity assessment kind of thing where they asked me to, they gave me a set of data, like weather data, and was like, do data analysis on this and like show your findings of like trends and like what you can get out of this set of data kind of thing. And then they also asked, that was part one. Part two was create a PowerPoint presentation about this company called like Carbon Cure, which basically like they make concrete, but then they infuse like CO2 into it. So it's like more sustainable because the concrete, while it's being mixed, like absorbs carbon dioxide, which was a similar technology that I was already aware of from like my involvement with Concrete Toboggan. So I think they knew that I liked concrete, and they were just like, make a presentation about this. So nice. Like 5 slides. They obviously gave some more detail, like what kind of things I could include. So the second interview round, I just kind of like walked them through my process of like how I did those activities and like presented the presentation kind of. So those were the elements of concrete that I can think of that were involved in the interview process. And I think it's because in that first interview, we did talk about Concrete Toboggan. Every time I interview, like interviewers always ask like, "What is Concrete Toboggan?" at the end, because they're like,
so funny.
Because it sounds absurd, right? You're like, "What?"
You're like, guys, do you know what a toboggan's actually made of? Everyone's like,
so I think they just assigned me like a concrete related technology to do the presentation on because it was already up in my alley and something they knew I was interested in. So yeah, that's how that process went for me.
How much time did you have to prepare this presentation?
I had 2 weeks to do the activities.
I was gonna say 5 minutes, go.
I know, I thought it was on the spot, and I was gonna be like, they're just watching you as you're making the PowerPoint. You're like, I make a weird face when I'm focused, guys. Don't mind me.
Oh my gosh, I would not. That would be stressful. If I only had a day. No, it was 2 weeks, which was a good enough
for sure
amount of time, and it was only like. It was literally like make 3 to 5 slides. It wasn't like make a giant presentation. No, and the data analysis like wasn't particularly difficult either. I think if you have a decent like grasp of Excel and like how to use graphs. I mean, I definitely was more worried about that one, I think, than the
I feel like I'd be worried about that more too, because I'd be like, what do you want me to analyze? Like, you know, like what findings do they want?
Exactly. And I kind of just ended up doing a bunch, but you don't want to put a bunch of like useless
redundant information.
You know, you're trying to find that balance of like enough information but that also feels valuable enough. But it worked out well. So
basically what we're telling people is mention concrete in your interviews and you will get
a job.
Exactly.
You say I love concrete.
But I like clearly like your past experiences in like things outside of school was like a huge helpful factor in like being able to, number one, like knowing what you want, and just in general like kind of like giving you that edge or like making you unique. I feel like that must have been really interesting.
Yeah.
Like right in an interview to like to hear someone be so knowledgeable about just like concrete. Like you wouldn't think that.
It's niche, and I think especially now that I work with purpose, like concrete is especially something I don't think people know that much about if you're not actually like in Civ or
For
like
sure.
have the opportunity to learn that much about the material itself. But yeah, it definitely I feel very, very grateful, happy that this opportunity worked out. I'm also the first co-op student that they took on for like over a 4-month period.
Oh.
Because they typically in the past had just hired 4-month
Summer.
co-op student periods. So I'm the first student that they took on for a year, which is why I did the activity component, because that's something that the full-time staff would do if they were applying. And because I was there for more long-term, I was applying for a more long-term position, they put that as part of my interview process as well. But typically the co-op students, I think for 4 years, not 4 years.
For 4 years, that's a great co-op. Oh my gosh, sign me up.
For 4 months, you would just do like the first round of interviews, like typically kind of what you'd expect. So yeah, I felt very special.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So.
The first.
Yeah, TLDR, shout out to Marianne Tucci.
Yeah, no, I've literally only heard incredible things about her.
She's amazing. And one of my colleagues who joined shortly after, he is a master's. He just finished his master's in Civ at UofT, and his supervisor is Marianne Tucci.
Oh my gosh, she's everywhere.
She's everywhere.
And she should be.
Yes.
I was even gonna say, because I know, so we've like talked about concrete toboggan, like what entails your like extracurricular experience at university? Because I don't even think I know that question. Like, want to discuss a little about it and like how it's helped you?
That's a good question. I have been involved with concrete toboggan since my second year. So in first year, I didn't do anything.
Same.
In terms of extracurriculars. First year, like school was overwhelming enough on its own.
Absolutely.
I think I attended like the first EWB general members
Me
meeting,
too.
which I feel like every first year does.
Oh, absolutely. You're like, I want to be an engineer without borders.
Yeah.
I want to make a difference.
Yeah, and then you are exhausted.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So in second year, I joined Concrete Toboggan doing graphics.
Oh,
So I designed their logo and merch and stuff like that. And then I joined School Night for painting, which in second year, that was the COVID year.
Yeah.
We ended up animating, so we just like changed titles to
So
co-animator, myself and Dana. Love
Yeah.
Dana.
She's awesome.
So those have been my two like main commitments, and I think having a role that's beyond just general member was like, you know, enough time commitment that I didn't really join too much beyond that. But like 2 clubs is good, and they're 2 things that I really enjoy and I think are cool, and the people are lovely. I love like all the Concrete Toboggan team members are like super cool. Same with School Night. Like stuff. And since then, I have been involved with both. So in third year, I became a design lead in Concrete Toboggan. So I did concrete.
Yeah.
Which is very different from graphics.
Yeah. That's a jump. That's a big
Very
jump.
different.
Big jump. I learned a lot. It was definitely a lot of self-learning, kind of the process of like, okay, contacting sponsors, supplies, materials, and then timing of like mixing. And with concrete, it's a long-term process. It's not like you mix, you're done. It's like you need to mix it, let it cure for like 30 days, you test it after 7 days, and then you test it after 28 days, and then you make sure that, you know, its strength is good enough after 28 days, and then you decide what mix to use to then pour the skis and blah, blah, blah. So it's like a long-ass process.
Yeah.
And time commitment as well, like having to reserve, like, okay, I mixed my concrete this date. 1 week from now, I have to test it.
Yeah.
So definitely like a good learning opportunity.
For sure.
That. But it works out nicely with my involvements. Like Concrete Toboggan was always more like heavy in terms of time commitment in the fall semester. And then for painting, for School Night, because I did painting again third year, it was more heavily involved in second semester. So it worked out nicely for me. Because in the fall for School Night, you're just kind of like drafting, designing, because we need to wait for carpentry to finish building the things that we need to paint. Yeah. So then that usually comes in second semester, and then there's like run through weekend and everything like that. Yeah. So I feel like it worked out well for me. Yeah. And I didn't find it too overwhelming. third year school was really busy. So I think
Yeah.
that just made everything a little bit difficult in terms of like time management
For sure.
for me. But they've definitely helped me a lot learn just working like my
Yeah.
interpersonal communication skills.
For
or
sure.
even though I wasn't really in like leadership positions, like leading people.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
but
yeah.
still trying to like plan workshops and like lead the workshops or plan events where general members come out to, like even for concrete mixing. Like I of course need to, being concrete lead, like I need to make sure that the general members like feel comfortable,
yeah.
included, and understand, you know, what's going on and feel comfortable. So it definitely helped me a lot with just like learning how to work with others.
Yeah.
And lots about concrete, lots about actually, did I learn about painting from school night?
You're like, I had nothing to learn,
I feel
actually.
like I learned more. I just love the people though
Yeah.
in both those teams. Like I think that's one of the things I value the most.
Oh, yeah.
And it's nice to have a little break from school and go attend school night social or whatever.
Yeah.
Or anything, or T-Bog event where you can help out and just like build something
Yeah.
else. It's super fun.
And I know you do your own art on the side. I've been
do.
explaining a bit about that and how you got into art. Because if I remember correctly, you were just like artiste from the beginning, right? Naturally.
I mean,
That's
dream
what
job
I
as a
interpret,
child.
yeah.
Dream job as a child was artist.
prodigy. Well, that's a very, very flattering. I always enjoyed drawing, like ever since I was a kid. Like I remember being like 4 years old or 5 and going to the ski hill like with my family because we would go skiing every weekend. And then we were in the lodge, I would be like drawing. I like have very vivid memories of like trying to draw like tigers. I loved drawing animals. They've always been my favorite thing to draw.
Yeah.
And I've never enjoyed drawing people. Never even tried
Yeah.
or wanted to. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm bad at this. Like faces, I'm just like, this isn't.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Like I just never like really wanted to draw people, so I never did. And then obviously without practicing, never got better. I think I'm better now, but still like it's not my favorite thing. I still love drawing animals and like creatures, and like I'd like to draw my own little like monsters and like make my own little creatures up when I was a kid. And I did take art classes growing up. I started a little bit later though. I think when I was like later, but I was like 8. It wasn't like I got thrown into art class at 4 years old.
Yeah.
Because my parents did that with my sister, but then she burnt the creativity like out of her because I think the art teacher was maybe like too harsh or
Also,
something.
it comes like a task.
It didn't become fun for her anymore, so my parents were like, oh, okay, this is not what we're gonna do for Catherine. We're gonna let her just like do her own thing until she's like older and like wants to, you know, develop some of those technical skills more. So I took like sketching courses once I was like 9, 8. Did I say 8? 8? I don't know. That time.
Yeah.
That
You're
time
like,
frame.
around 8, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Yeah,
12.
yeah, same thing.
And then I did pottery. This is for like 3 years on the wheel. Like,
Oh
I would,
my
like,
gosh.
throw bowls and stuff.
That's so cool. At
Super
the age
fun.
of 8?
Okay, this one a bit older, like grade 6. So
Oh my gosh, I
That's
wouldn't have been
so-
able to do anything.
it was-
Yeah.
That was really fun. So that was another like art thing I did. And then I took painting classes in high school. End of middle school to high school. Like I think I stopped in grade 10, which all of those classes helped to develop, I think, just like better artistic eye and like some of those technical skills like proportion and like contrast and stuff. And I took grade 9 visual arts. But beyond, like after grade 10, I was like on my own with just, I continued drawing when I had time for it because I enjoyed it. And honestly, now I learn most things from the internet if there's something new I want to figure out. Because there's so many like good YouTube tutorials and like there's so many artists that like
For
make
sure.
like really detailed tutorials on how to do things. So I wanted to apply for architecture in high school. So I had to make a portfolio.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, I didn't take art classes in high school, so it's like I didn't really have any like recent nice pieces to put into my portfolio. So in grade 12, it was also a grind for me to like make art so I could include it as part of my architecture portfolio that you use to apply for architecture programs. But that was fun. It was nice to like kind of take it a bit more seriously and like commit more time to actually trying to like create finished pieces that I felt proud of. Because beforehand I would just doodle for fun. I would just draw Pokemon all the time. Like I would just like do whatever. But in grade 12, I think that kind of working towards the portfolio kind of like made me delve back into it and start enjoying it more.
Yeah.
Because high school would like go on and off. Like sometimes I would feel like I would go like 7 months and like not draw anything because the creative energy is just like
you need to get like inspired.
you get like you fall out of the rhythm. You almost like forget about it kind of, or you feel less inclined to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with a lot of hobbies. I'm sure
Oh,
people,
for sure.
I feel like exercising is one of those things too.
Oh, good night. Bye. First to go.
yeah. Once you fall out of the rhythm, it's like hard to kind of get started up again. That kind of thing. At least I feel similarly with art if I take a long break from it. But once I start, I like get excited and remember how fun and how much I like it. So since then, I've like delved into a bunch of different things. I like painting. I like sketching. I've built some like wire sculpture mask things for my portfolio, and then I made one for Halloween in first year.
I remember it was beautiful.
Thank you. It was just fun, and I haven't built one in a while, but
Well, you have a new hobby now.
Halloween.
Well,
Was that what
you
you
could
were
do
saying?
Halloween. I was gonna say you're tattooing now,
Oh,
so it's
yes,
very
that
different.
Is very
True.
different. So in the first summer of the pandemic, I was talking to my sister, and she said, "You should tattoo. You'd be really good at it." I was like, "You're right."
Oh my God.
Yes, I would.
She changed so many people's lives. I know people that you've tattooed that
I
are like,
know.
this is the coolest thing in the
It's
entire
still
world.
like, it boggles my mind sometimes, even that I'm like, I tattooed you.
And you're so good at it.
You're so good.
I was nervous at the start. I spent like over a month like researching, good chunk of time of that summer thinking about it. And I have a friend who was tattooing in first year that I like knew her, so she kind of could like help ease me into it a little bit with her knowledge. And yeah, so I got my first tattoo machine that summer, the first summer of the pandemic. And then the first person, I practiced for a bit on like fake skin and whatnot. I was shocked at how supportive my mom was. I asked her like, do you think like would you be okay with me tattooing? And she was like, yes. She was
Oh my
like,
gosh!
do it.
I love
You'd
your mom.
be so good at it. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
I was expecting her to be like, yeah. But she was like very
She was like,
enthusiastic.
I've been planning this for so long.
Well, my mom wanted to be a tattoo artist.
Oh.
So I think she has like a deep, like, you know, inside.
Yeah, living vicariously through
Yeah,
you.
literally. And she does like cosmetic tattoos because she has like an esthetician like background.
Yeah.
So she had a bunch of like fake skin lying around, and she had like one of her cosmetic tattoo machines, and she was like, you can practice with this, and it's quite different from what you use for like a non-cosmetic tattoo. But it kind of gave me a little bit. I used that at first. So I practiced just like holding something with like the vibrating
For sure,
the vibration. And the first person I tattooed was my mom. It was really cute.
Oh,
She was
I
like-
could cry. I could shed a tear.
And
That's
she was
so
like,
sweet.
you could tattoo me. And I was like, okay, great.
What was it?
A little dragon on her ankle. It was really cute.
Oh my goodness.
I do remember.
I was gonna say I have like an interesting I don't know if it's interesting actually, but I have a question. When like so you have like this entire art background, like do you think I feel like when I think of artists, I think of people that like see a bigger picture or that like can like do you think that's impacted you at all with like your school journey or with your like professional development journey?
Just in general, like how
you've like taken on art. I feel like also artists are very like they have a lot of initiative, or at least you need that. Like, do you think that? Yeah,
that's so. It's interesting for me. Art and like being creative, it's hard to find the creative energy sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
I think. Okay, if I still struggle with calling myself an artist sometimes because it feels like at what point do you become an artist versus someone who just like likes to draw,
that's a great point.
right? Because to me I'm like, I'm not an artist, like I just doodle, but also I'm like, people always will say like you're an artist, and I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no like rule book to say. I'm trying to think best way to answer this question.
Yeah.
With initiative, to tackle that part of the question first, I was planning to do no extracurriculars over my PUI because I wanted to focus on my own like personal creative endeavors.
For sure.
I started my PUI in the summer and I was like, I have no motivation at all to do my own creative endeavors. I think I was struggling a lot with just like the transition between like school and work and other parts of just life was really busy.
For sure.
And then Emily, director of school night, Emily and Anya this year, reached out to me and was like, do you want to do school night this year again? Like, we would love to have you on the team if you wanted to do graphics or painting. And I was not planning to do any extracurriculars, but because I was in such a creative rut and really wanted to do something outside of work beyond just like engineering, something creative, but like I was having a hard time like mustering up my own like motivation and like energy to do it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do school night again.
Yeah. You're like,
okay, I'll do graphics, because I find that having kind of that liability will like keep me motivated. It's like I have to do this or else it's my job. I gotta do
it's
it
for someone.
And I love the school night team, and I do love school night, so I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I want to say don't always have that initiative.
That's okay. Yeah.
It depends. But for me, getting involved in other things I enjoy helps keep me like I do have the initiative now to like do school night things.
Yeah,
which
for
still
sure.
is creative because I'm doing graphics this year.
Yeah.
And like feels good for me. It like feels good to do something outside of math.
Yeah.
And just like eng life, because art and creativity is very important to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how, like, even I don't really know how my creativity influences the way I like view things. Like, I don't know, I can't tell if it's because I like art or if it's because of just the way I am.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just don't really this sounds bad. I take work and school very seriously, but it's not the most important thing to me.
That doesn't sound bad.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, I mean, I will like say sometimes like, oh, I don't care about work, but not in the way that's like, I don't care about it. Like, I take it seriously.
Yeah.
I will do my work and like do my job properly, but I don't care about it in the sense that's like, there are a lot of other things that for me feel a lot more like deeply like valuable. But I would say my current job does make me feel like I care more about it because it does feel more important. I think my previous jobs, it's like, you know, I enjoy it, it's fun, but because of my work and how it's has such a broader impact and like feels like something very important and like necessary, and like it feels nice to be part of something that's like, okay, we're helping be less bad than we would be if we were
helping be better. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
No,
but
One thing I've noticed though, like comparing to you and like other people, is that when you fall in love with something, you will seek through it to the end. And like even when you're talking about concrete or like talking about all the different art forms, you're like, not that you just like it, you know everything about it. And I like, for someone like me who just like loves everything but doesn't really know the intricacies of it, it is so nice to see someone that really likes something and you will actually go to the end to like see it.
That.
But
that's sweet. I think for like tattooing, at least for me, I would feel uncomfortable not being confident in those details, especially because there's that safety element. Like, I don't want to be tattooing people without knowing what the proper like safety procedures are, or like sanitization process, or like, you know, just also you're permanently inking people's skin. Like, I don't take it lightly, right? It's like that's kind of why I don't do it during school, because I'm like too stressed and tired and busy, and it's like I don't want to be tattooing people while I'm sleep deprived, stressed and anxious, because that like shows through your work. And like I get anxious about it myself and feeling like not, if I'm like tired, just not feeling well, it's like I don't want to be, you know, marking people's skin permanently with my art, even though it means so much to me. It's like it feels way better when I'm in a good headspace for it, because I don't want that anxiety to show through the work or even through whoever I'm tattooing, because as much as like tattooing like itself, like the tattoo is very important, it's also the experience, like talking to whoever you're tattooing, or for that person, like talking to your artist. A lot of the time I find that can shape your tattoo experience. Sometimes it can influence it even more than just like getting the tattoo itself. At least for me, that's how I think about it. Like, I love getting tattoos from other artists just because I love like other people's art forms, and I love the art of tattooing, and there's a lot of artists that I just like respect their work and love their work, and I just enjoy the opportunity to like get to know them
Yeah.
And for me, at least, that's how it is. And there's nothing wrong with just like wanting something specific as well, and like, you know, going to an artist that you think has like good work, but you don't care that much about like getting to know them. Like, that's what I like about tattooing though, is like you can get it for whatever reason you want, and it's all super valid, and there isn't like really a right or wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
You can get a tattoo because you think it's dumb, stupid, funny, just because you think it looks cool, or it can mean a lot to you and be something like super valuable. And all of those reasons are like, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can totally get a tattoo for that reason, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I was even gonna say, like, just from knowing you, I feel like you in general are a very, I mean, again, this is like an outsider point of view, but like a very balanced person. Like, at least when I'm in your presence, I feel like I almost like I get calmer, or I just feel more like I feel more like centered when I'm around you. And like, do you have like, is there, I don't know, like, how do you create balance in your life, and how do you like, you feel like a very grounded person, and how does that come through? Like, how do you work on that?
Good question. First off, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy that my presence can make you feel grounded and calm. I think for me, how do I achieve that balance? I am very much a like, okay, this sounds again dumb, but I'm like self-care.
That's not dumb at all.
Oh my gosh. That's what we want.
Sorry, that's our goal.
More so the saying of like, I love self-care. No, but for me, self-care a lot means, this is again something that works for me, and I know it doesn't work for everyone, but I just like doing what my brain wants to do. So for example, during school, I don't want to study anymore. I will stop studying.
Wow.
But you know how, like, obviously in NG you have things to do. It's like you have to keep on studying.
Yeah.
Of course there will be times where you can't. Like, if I listened to that thought all the time, I wouldn't get any studying done, obviously. But within, like, for me, manageable intervals, I let myself take those breaks. Because I know for me, I'm like, I don't want to be miserable studying, like, all the time for days and then, you know, get maybe a grade that would have been better if I just, like, took it easy and enjoyed my life a little bit more.
Yeah.
For me, at least, like, I just want to like feel good, or like better than than you would in a stressful situation. So I think for me, I've just started trying to like listen to myself more when you can feel that like deep inner feeling of like, I want this. Or that could even be like in a social situation where you're like, you're thinking like, should I keep hanging out with this group for the rest of the night because that's where the direction of the night is going, or should I go home and sleep because I'm tired? And I think it's sometimes just being like, I'm tired, and I think I would actually enjoy going to bed more, not because I don't like you guys, but like I have a low social battery. Like I'm pretty introverted at heart. So like I love my alone time, and I think for me it's been like finding that, like listening to myself of being like, okay, I want to spend some time alone just to decompress. It can even just be lying in bed and doing nothing, but for me that feels great. Of course there's going to be that dilemma of like, oh, I wasn't productive at all, but like ultimately I think that helps energize me more and keeps me more balanced than for me, I'm not one of those like constantly on the go people. I know for some people they thrive off of that schedule.
I feel like that's me.
And
I'm a very
yeah, and that's totally fair too, because that's just like for you what feels and works best. For me, I need a break. I love my relaxation times. I love playing video games. I love to sometimes drawing is a relaxing thing for me, but sometimes it's also tiring because it's like creative energy. So it depends, but I just love lying down. As simple as that. Like, I just love to take that alone time to just, like, lie down, play some games, watch YouTube videos, and listen to myself, take a shower, sit in the shower, think about my life, you know?
I think I...
Listen to 17.
Yes, listen to 17, listen to music.
I was even going to say, I think the fact that you are able to check in on yourself and, like, just be in tune with yourself is already like such a difference than like, because I feel like some people really struggle with that. Like that can be hard.
It took
knowing
a while
what you want
to learn how to do that too. Like I think in third year was the first time that I kind of like practiced it more. You know, I will say I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to everyone because it depends on like what works for you. I did this at the expense of some of my grades, right? Because obviously I didn't spend as much time studying, but for me it's like, if I'm studying nonstop, I'll get burnt out, and it's kind of like you can become less efficient while you study anyways when you're tired. So it's like trying to find that balance. I feel like for school, it's always trying to find the balance.
Yeah,
with
I'm in 4th year and I haven't found it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm even like this weekend, I felt so burnt out, and I like even like I know after this I have things that I need to do that are due tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm very tired. So I'm struggling to have that balance.
It's hard, and like it definitely. I say this, but obviously in practice, it's harder than it sounds.
For sure,
and
for
I
sure.
think it's something that I'm still learning, and learned a bit in 3rd year, but even compared to like 1st year, I feel like I was just like, I don't know how I was living. I was just living with like whatever the crowd was doing, kind of. Like I very much felt like I lost a sense of self in terms of like, what do I want for myself to do, or
I really like
am
that.
I just getting influenced by like, what the people around me are doing? Not that I did anything bad, but for me, it's just, again, goes back to like my innate introversion. I get super tired being around people for a long time. And first year, I was like constantly around people so much, they kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
But then it made me feel like I wasn't myself.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because you were the most grounded person that I like knew at the time. Like, you stuck to your values, and I remember I felt like I was all over the place and just let go of everything.
Yeah.
That's interesting to see.
Yeah, like I think my morals and my values, I still always try to like, you know, keep in check. Like
For
those
sure.
are things I take very seriously, and like I don't have much forgiveness with those, and with other people too.
As you should.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think a lot of like just like personal feelings and whatnot, I think I'm just good at masking in front of people, which is like a skill you naturally just learn.
I was gonna say, I think it's almost something that like just ends up happening. I think at least like, you know, if you're in a
you
situation,
don't do it on purpose.
Yeah, you don't want to. I think something that I think is like a very common like feeling experienced by a lot of people is like you don't want to ever be a burden, and like it's and individually it's hard to like know where that line is. So like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that's something that like I feel like.
No, I agree with you though. Yeah.
I like had this one follow-up question in my head, and I'm gonna ask it now, because you love rest.
Yes.
And then you've also, I don't know why I'm so fascinated with I am very fascinated with your tattooing journey. Because, like, we were at Career Jumpstart, and a lot of people are like, do passion projects and things like that you're passionate about on the side. But, like, a lot of people, when they take that break, they start the project, and then it never becomes anything. And I have so many projects that I started, and then it falls apart. And I'm trying to, like, how did you, like, go with breaks and then keep going with it? And just,
that's a really good question.
And, like, actually have something to show for it, because that's, like, I don't know how you maintain that.
That is a good question. I think, well, for one, you only see what I show, right? Like, I definitely have the projects, too, that, I don't post my unfinished projects either. When it comes to, like, drawings or paintings, many unfinished paintings and drawings. But for tattooing specifically, I think I just love it so much. Like, I love tattooing. Like, it's my favorite art medium,
that's
I would
awesome.
say.
That's so cool.
Which I think has helped me, you know, see it through a bit more and, like, commit to it more long term. Even though, like, sometimes I'll take breaks from school and whatnot. But it's always something that I'm always thinking about it and always, like, want to do. Just when I'm, like, feeling more energized. Like, throughout the whole school year, I was like, I miss tattooing and I want to tattoo, but I want to tattoo when I feel, like, good, energized, and, like, ready for it, because it is something I take seriously. For me, it's just, like, it feels very meaningful. I'm, like, to whoever is willing to get a drawing of mine, a piece of my work on them, it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so sweet. I'm like, it just means a lot for that trust to be there. True. I think for friends, it means a lot, because it's like, oh my God, my friend wants the tattoo from me. And then from strangers, it also means a lot. I'm like, you don't even know me, and you want to tattoo me? Yeah. So, like, no matter who it is, every single time I'm like, oh my God. And I'm almost always in, like, awe a little bit of, like, oh my God, I can't believe this person is, like, wants this from me. Not in a way that's like, oh, I can't believe it, but just like, oh my God, like, me?
Yeah.
Right? And it always is, I think for me, it feels so meaningful, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's something I'm still very interested in, like, improving at, and, like, learning more about, and, like, trying different techniques as I advance and like do more tattoos. So it's like not only just like I'm doing them, but for me it's also like personal like progression is also something I'm working towards.
That's interesting, because you wouldn't think it would have to do with career, but like it sounds like you've gained a lot of trust in yourself to be able to do those things.
It takes a lot. I've had many moments of just like, I should not be doing this.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, especially when you're like tattooing people, because it's like you are literally, you know,
it's forever.
Permanently putting your art onto people, and of course you don't want to make mistakes or do things wrong. And I think talking to my other friend who also tattoos, like she has that similar sentiment, and I find that I get into that whole more frequently when I'm feeling stressed and anxious, just even about like things aside from tattooing. That's why during school it's like I am already anxious about like my own
things you have to do,
my own things, and then I think about tattooing and I'm like, oh, I haven't practiced in so long, I haven't done so long, what if I like don't do a good job, and like I will become stressed and feel like I can't do this right now. So that's part of the reason why looping back to just me wanting to do it when I feel like in a better headspace. So for tattooing, it is something I would say special, because I don't think I have felt this like love and passion for that much for like a lot of I mean, I do love a lot of things I do, but tattooing is very special. So I think that's one of the reasons why it is something I've been able to see through. But I've had tons of like hyperfixations on things that like don't go anywhere. Like I was obsessed with graffiti art in first year. I really wanted to be a graffiti artist.
I do remember that.
I was like obsessed with it. And I was like couldn't stop watching graffiti videos. And I was like I got like a graffiti art book because I was like I'm gonna learn the art of graffiti. And then it like that didn't go anywhere. It like fell off once I started tattooing, and I was like And then I've also with drawings and paintings and stuff, sometimes it is difficult to like see a project through to the end. And that kind of goes back, I think, to like finding that initiative within yourself. It's hard when you have to hold yourself to it. And when someone else is holding you to it, I find that it's like easier. And I think that also is something for tattooing, is like it is for someone else. So there is that liability of like I want to do a good job and like try to draw this to the best of my ability for you. It's not just like sometimes I find it hard to draw flash designs like on my own because no one's holding me to it. I'm like, I have all these ideas, I'll draw it when I get around to it. But if someone's like, I want this design, I'll be like, okay, I will do it. You know? Because there's that commitment there.
I was gonna say one thing that I think that is really cool about like your tattooing experience is that you have people that are like your walking art gallery. Like that's like a cool, like, you know what I mean? But no, that's so awesome that that's something that you're able to do, and it like fulfills you so much. It like sounds like it really fills your cup, which is, I think it's important to do things that fill your cup. But no, you also talked about like how you were so scared about making like a mistake or things like that. Like, has there ever been a time where like you're like, and it doesn't have to be just specific to tattooing, but like that you're like, or like have you found yourself in making a mistake and like, did you make it like a happy mistake, or were you like, I need to like go about this?
Happy
accidents.
I mean, I will give a specific example with tattooing, which was like the third time I ever tattooed. Like the first summer I tattooed my sister, and it was like my sister, so she was like, whatever, like you can tattoo this on me. And like she would not stop twitching because I was tattooing her ankle, and like some areas of your body, you'll naturally just twitch because that's just like your physiological response to what's going on. So she was just super twitchy. It was also honestly like late at night. Probably we shouldn't have been tattooing at like 3 a.m. But I was like, yeah, let's do it. So she was like twitching a lot, and as she twitched, I like didn't remove a needle. So there was like a tiny little like maybe like 2 millimeter line that went off, and then I was like, ooh, sorry about this. And then she was like, oh, it's fine, because it's close to the snake's head. So she was like, it just looks like an eyelash, like whatever.
That's so funny.
I mean, but I was like, if that happened on like someone I didn't know, I would definitely be way more stressed about it. Right? I'd be like, oh, no, what do I do now? But it was like one of the first times I ever tattooed, and it was on my sister, and she like knew that and was like, I'm just happy to get something from you, and like you're able to practice. But to be honest, I haven't made any like big mistakes really. I think most of the time, if there is like something minor, I'm able to just like turn it like into something that looks intentional at least. Like I've never like gone so far off where I'm like, this is gone, this is unfixable.
You're drawing a different picture.
It's over. Like this is ruined. Like usually like you use a stencil beforehand anyway, so if you follow the stencil well enough, like, don't go too far off. But in terms of other things, mistakes, It's such a hard question. I'm just so perfect. I can't think of anything
I
I've
love
done
her
wrong.
confidence. I love her. No,
I'm kidding.
perfect.
I've definitely made plenty of mistakes with like school stuff,
Yeah,
projects, not like doing my part. Sometimes like in a timely manner. I always finish when I need to, but I'm one of those people that leaves things till last minute. Sometimes working in a group, that's not ideal because your group members are like, hello, are we gonna be done? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm just starting at like 12 a.m. That's when I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that counts as a mistake, but sometimes just like finding the right communication style to
For
like,
sure.
work with others. But I think for me, I don't know where I'm going with this.
No.
It's all good.
Yeah, no. I feel like I'm, like, even like I feel like my question was kind of like not even it didn't even have a direction. But yeah, like I think it's so easy to like find yourself being like, oh, if I could go back in time, like I'd change that about a decision. I mean, I find that a lot with school. I find that I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Like I'm a very thorough person, so I'll spend like hours trying to understand material, and then I had like a deliverable due on Monday that I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have spent hours trying to understand what was going on. I should have just started working.
That sounds important though, like understanding. What
Yeah,
you're
I'm.
But yeah, no,
it's all a process.
Super valid. I think I have this mentality of, I think this is very much influenced by my dad. Like he's so like, what's done is done. And
oh really?
It's what it is.
I need to be more like
You're
that.
so not.
Don't dwell on anything in the past. And I think he's like influenced me a lot in that sense because sometimes I am like, he's like, don't dwell on anything in the past or future. Just do what you need to do now. And like him always giving me that piece of advice, sometimes it's annoying because I'm like, Dad, I am stressed about the future. Okay. Like I am worried. And he's like, you can't do anything about it really now except for what you can just do at hand. Just like do what you need to do. And sometimes it's annoying because I'm like, I don't stop it.
No, validate me.
But then when I think about it, I'm like, I actually quite like that way of thinking.
Yeah, it's very comforting.
Mean, for him, he seems like always just chill because that's how he like approaches life.
That's a cool mindset.
So for me, when I think about studying and like studying for an exam, for example, I am always conscious of like how much time and effort I've like spent. So like say I only spent like 70% of the effort I would have of like my fullest capacity for like a midterm. I won't go into the midterm expecting anything beyond that of what would my 70% effort would get me.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of just going into it with like low standards. Not just that, but being like, okay, I put in this much effort. I'm probably gonna get proportionally what I deserve. I'm not gonna be mad about the fact that I got a 70 on my midterm for putting 70% effort. And for me, at least, when I decide, it's like I decide to put in less effort. Like kind of going back to what I listen to my brain, I'm like, I feel bad studying. I don't like this. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break. And if my grades suffer a little bit, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen. But of course that doesn't, like sometimes you study really hard. You think you put in all your effort and you end up doing that poorly. And like, of course that will still happen. That will feel bad for sure. And like I still feel things, but that's kind of like the logic brain of me trying to reason with myself to make myself feel better when I get poor grades. But I mean sometimes it helps with like also feeling good about when you do put in the effort.
For sure.
And sometimes when you do get a good grade of what you think you deserve.
Yeah.
Like, but of course I feel like UofT, you always end up putting in so much effort and then you get something so much disproportionately lower than you expected. Or it doesn't like solve any of the issues of feeling like navigating the emotions around that. But for me, I always try not to regret what I had done in the past because whatever I'm doing at the present, I'm like aware of that decision I'm making. Like when I take a break, I'm aware of like this break is gonna potentially disturb, I don't know if that's the right way. Hinder is not the right word either. Decrease my grades.
Yeah.
And like every decision I make feels very conscious. So like when I get to that point, it's like I made that decision back then. Past me made that decision. I'm not gonna be mad about past me for making that decision because I always think like, will future me be mad about this? And I'm like, no, it's fine.
I'm like,
yeah. But again, that's like easier said than done.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of awareness though of yourself and like trust in yourself. Which
Definitely.
always inspiring.
Wow.
That's probably what you taught me. I love that.
Is it inspiring? I feel like this is a bad habit. Maybe.
No. I mean, like, of course, it's finding that balance, but to
Yeah.
trust the decisions that you've made and not overthink. And, like, even in the future, it's like future me will make that decision. And I trust myself enough that when that time comes, I will make the right decision at that time.
I was even gonna say, like, this is just, I'm just kind of curious. This is kind of a little bit of a jump, but what's like one of your like favorite pieces of advice you've like heard, or like you know,
Favorite pieces of advice,
or what you would tell someone else?
I always just say don't take things too seriously, to be honest. Like, not in
Yeah.
a sense of like it's more so just like the feeling of like, just in like, to me, taking things too seriously, you're just putting all of this additional like stress onto yourself that like doesn't need to be there. It's
Yeah.
like you can like commit to it. You can take it seriously in the sense of like, you know,
Do your
committing the
job.
time and
Yeah.
energy, doing the job, and like caring about it, but not taking it so seriously where you like lose the fun out of other parts of your life and out of doing that. I guess for me,
For sure.
that's how I feel. It's like nothing's that serious, but that also comes from like a privileged place of, you know, it's like this is not something I would say to everyone, but more specifically maybe to like students of a similar like financial state or whatever state of like,
for sure.
you know, like this is not something loosely I would be like everyone should just take things less seriously. Like I say this in like I will be okay if I get like a 70% on an exam and I will graduate with my degree, or even if I don't pass a year, redo the year. Like I say this in like knowing, again, like considering the elements of like I would be okay. Like considering the like my position in like society and whatnot. So like considering if others who I'm talking to like would also be okay in that sense.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, because it, to me, I find retains more of the enjoyment of life.
For sure.
But again, that's always something I consider. Like, I don't go around saying that because of this. It's like, you know, for some people, you can't just like turn off that feeling and seriousness, because maybe you do need to graduate soon to like, for whatever personal reason, to start working and like sustain yourself and others you care about. Like, you know, there's so many factors that could.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I'm not going to tell everyone to like stop caring about school. But for me, that's how I kind of approach things, and like find that I still try to I just try to enjoy life as much as I can.
Yeah.
Try. Key word is try.
Keyword is it is an attempt. It is an active attempt.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
super hard. So it is always the constant attempt of not just like, do it. Enjoy your life, girly. Yes, girl.
Yeah. It's so much easier to be like,
Just be happy.
Live, laugh, love, guys.
Live,
All
laugh,
you have to
love.
do is live, laugh, and love. And then that's the secret.
It's always like, for me, just like try. Just like keep trying.
Yeah.
Even though trying itself can be hard, but it's like try to try.
Yeah, no, I think like also like as people, I think just even in the environment we're in, you're pulled in a lot of different directions. Like you're so many things are being asked of you when you're in like university or college in general.
Yeah.
So like you said, like just trying to try is a step.
Yeah.
Like it is like you're doing your best, and that's all you can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's always like acknowledging that best is that best is gonna look different for everyone, and like whatever that trying is, it's gonna be like personal to you.
Yeah.
And, like whatever you're feeling or going through, or who you are. So it's like it's a broad piece of advice that
I love it.
be taken differently, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, sorry, I don't know if you had.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, like, even if you feel underqualified to apply for a job or, like, anything, it's, like, literally just try.
Yeah.
Because then you have no regrets in the end.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt to just go for it if you can, yeah. I agree.
Guys, the sky's the limit. The sky is the literal limit.
The sky is the limit, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if I don't know. Yeah.
I don't even know what time it is. How long have we been
I
talking for?
I know.
It's been about an hour.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Oh, we should then let's stroll on down to our final question.
Oh, final question.
What is a question that you wish we'd asked, and how would you have answered it?
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. So basically, what do I want to talk about?
Basically,
Yeah,
like, it could be literally anything. Like, what did you wish? You were like, oh, I wish they asked this.
It could be silly too.
It could be like, why didn't you ask me what my shoe size is? That was so offensive. Like, I didn't like that. Yeah, like, really.
This is so hard. Maybe I wish you guys asked me, like, oh my god, this is really hard. Now,
It can be anything.
I feel like I'm the interviewer now, trying to think of questions. I'm like,
How are you doing?
Man, maybe like my favorite animal or something.
Oh my gosh. And how would you have answered that?
Oh, I would have said, I would have given this long, complex answer of, I don't really know what my favorite animal is.
You're like, I think it's so messed up you didn't ask me my favorite animal. Oh my gosh, like, what's your favorite animal? I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't know why you put me on the spot like that. That's really messed up.
I would say, I don't really know, but I really like cats.
Oh,
but
boom.
Yeah, and then
full circle.
Cat. And then I would say, I don't know, but cats seem really boring. So like,
No.
and, you know, my name is Cat, and people are gonna think it's so cliche, and I only like cats because my name is Cat. But I actually just really like cats.
Yeah.
That would be my answer.
And that would have, and I'm so happy that we heard what would have been your answer. But no, I mean, just wanted, like, I think this was like such a lovely conversation, such important conversation about like knowing yourself, checking in, what you got to do, even just in general. Your PUI sounds incredible. So excited for you.
Thank you.
And yeah, like, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you both. You're wonderful hosts. Great time. I had a wonderful time chatting.
Catching up
Awesome.
with my first friend at university.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so sweet.
We're chestnut buddies.
Yeah.
So fun.
Well,
Amazing.
Thank
I mean,
you.
let's say bye to our audience.
Goodbye, audience.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for
listening. Bye.
Bye, Cat.